How's it going, everybody? Medbay here. I'm here with Jose Salas, your San Diego Regionals champion. How are you doing, Jose?
Thanks for the introduction, Jeff. I'm doing okay. Um, really excited about this third win. Um, it's a nice little ring on my finger, you could say, trophy, what have you. Um, didn't expect to win actually going into this thing. I just, piloted the deck, played the best that I could, and it, ultimately led me to, going the full 9 rounds and then winning the whole thing.
Now, this is your third chip already. What makes this one different from all the other ones?
Good question. I hadn't actually thought about that. This one was different. I guess at this point, I could probably consider myself a more seasoned player. Um, DigiFest was my first IRL event. Where my first major win came from. So it was a brand new experience. Looking face to face to an opponent, um, gauging their body language. Body language tells you a lot about an opponent, how much they're fidgeting with their hands, their facial expressions, the way they're pivoting their body. So I took a lot of that experience. Mostly the biggest thing being that you just have to maintain your composure. Don't give away more information you need to. Um, the second win was my first online core TCG regional win with Blue Hybrid. Same list as more or less the same list as I won with DigiFest. Um, that one, I think, is where hmm, I'm not entirely sure what made that one special. I guess I guess it being um, honestly that one was just the deck doing most of the work for me. We all knew Blue Hybrid was really strong. Or it got a resurgence BT8 after Imperial Dramon kind of saw its surge in play, and Blue Hybrid just seemed to counter it naturally. So I just went back to basics there and played what I'd been refining for the last 3-4 months. Some people may consider that not fun, but in this game I'm looking to win. So well, I found something that worked and I stuck with it I stuck with it, and then that led me to the second win. This one I just took those two kind of concepts, playing with what refining it, and the whole idea of maintaining your composure. And I think those two things really helped me move forward in all my games. Every time even if I had a bad hand, I made sure look at the hand once, think about what the play is going to be, put my hands down on the table, put the cards down on the table, and just let my opponent play. Um, Not entirely sure, and try to maintain a straight face, even when my hands were bad, or I didn't open rookie or anything like that. That just not giving away more information than I need to.
Now, this being
Uh,
in sorry, go ahead.
no, I think that with what makes this one special, I guess it's the first IRL regionals on the West Coast too. West Coast have been pretty deprived of events the whole the last 2 years, and this one being the first, it's a little extra feather in the cap for the whole event.
Did you feel that there was any difference in the competition here in being in person, a regional in SoCal compared to perhaps an online regional or like an Ultimate Cup?
Yeah. In general, I've kind of considered. I might get some flack for this, but I've considered the California region, specifically SoCal, to be fairly strong. I mean, we've got people like yourself, Kyle Kemper, Leachy, just to name a few, um, that are constantly or consistently topping. Um, and we actually had an opportunity to play just kind of amongst ourselves on the East Coast. I mean on the West Coast, sorry, as opposed to playing across the whole country. So this was like it felt like, um, I don't want to say a smaller community, but it felt more familiar. Faces I see more often, at locals, in the especially specifically in the LA area, and even a little further out, that I don't normally get to see online or interact with.
Do you feel like people knew who you were going into this tournament compared to tournaments in the past?
Not necessarily. My presence online has been relatively low profile. I'll top here and there, um, and I won't. I'm not necessarily making content like yourself, or streaming my matches all that often. So my name really only comes up when if anyone's actually reviewing like the toppings for any of these major tournaments.
But people know who you are. You've won 3 already. That's very impressive.
Thanks.
So, out of your 9 matches, which were the hardest for you?
Um, Not necessarily the hardest, but kind of the scariest going into the tournament. Specifically because my round one was D Reaper. Generally, D Reaper is kind of seen as a crapshoot matchup. It really depends how fast my opponent's able to turbo into the 6 sources for the mother to active to trigger the -1 security check from the gatekeeper. Um, the person I played specifically was playing yellow options, so things like Holy Flame and um, Masquerade. And I even got caught off guard one game by a Masquerade security just blowing up my Garurumon. And so that one, unfortunately, or fortunately for me, I guess, unfortunately for him, it was just a matter of how good his security was, um, and how fast he could set up. In this matchup, once they get the 2 gatekeeper out, it's essentially unwinnable unless you can stack your memory high enough that you can, play Kakaitis, which is 1 card. You and myself, Kyle, and even Thomas have been playing in our builds that most of the other builds aren't even playing. Um, and then from there you can potentially make a comeback. But if you don't set yourself up like that, it's just unwinnable at that point. The hardest matchup after in general, I guess another scary matchup was Grandis in round 5. Um, You'd think it'd be kind of straightforward for Garuru, and for the most part it is. But when Grandis kind of sees their line, um, they can sweep your security. So the one loss I got there was they turboed into their level 5. I was maintaining aggression by swinging at security, and I hit 2 Mimis out of security. Um, Unlucky for me, the following turn he came out, went into the Grand Kuaga, and then the Grandis swung in again. All I had was duds and security, and then he just used the 1 Mimi to hatch, another Mimi to promote, and they swung for game. I think that was actually game 1, so I was already on the back foot there. And it was just more, coin toss. Does this guy see the line again, or am I able to eke out a little bit faster than he has? And that's kind of the theme for most of these matchups. Gaio, Alphamon, think things go on for too long, they're able to get their stack, and it becomes very difficult for Garurumon to actually win those matchups. Gaio, for example, they have a big 13k beater that has blocker and can attack your unsuspended Digimon, if they have the right stack, right? All of these kind of are contingent on the fact that the opponent draws the right stack. Alphamon, once they turbo all the way up to the Oryukin, again, you just kind of lose from there, especially if they have the blocker retaliation, which your protection can't even your general battle protection can't defend you against. So for me, I chose Garurumon because it felt like it was the most consistent. The draw power it has lets you see your pieces, and it's with the Hammer Spark build that we play, which we'll touch base a little bit more on later. We just are always kind of hitting the gas.
And it's evident you knocked out a lot of the top decks. It looks like the only deck you didn't really play was D Brigade, but that really wouldn't have been an issue for your deck, apparently.
D Brigade and security control. I was fortunate enough to dodge it all day. The newer builds that I've seen going around are a little. I'd almost consider an auto loss. The night before, I was kind of stressing about if I play red package or not. I played some games with it, and even at locals the night before, just to test it out, just to kind of, Thursday night I had already almost decidedly, decided that I would go with the pure blue build. Come Thursday, I knew one of my friends, one of the guys on the team, Travis, was going to be playing security control, so I decided to try the red build in that matchup. It marginally improved it, but if you don't set yourself up correctly and they have Sakuya out on board, it becomes pretty difficult to win the matchup, even with the the delicate plan. I playtested a little bit more the day after to see how much it impacted consistency. I even tried the EX Gabu to search out the Tamers a little bit easier, and string the rookies. It helped a little bit, but ultimately I just decided that I'm going to play the most consistent build I can, and hope that I dodge the matchup. And if I do hit the matchup, then I just play the best that I can and see if I can manage a win or not.
And in 9 rounds, consistency wins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, as we saw, I don't think any security control topped this last event.
That is very outstanding because in Kansas City, it was like what, half of the top 16 was stick control.
Yeah.
That just goes to show that you shouldn't be too scared of one particular deck. You can possibly just dodge it and go on to win the entire event, just like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get started on your deck profile, is there anything else that you want to say?
No. Anyone looking to play in any major events, I would just play with whatever you're comfortable with at this point. The meta's pretty well defined at this point. Not many decks are changing up any major engines. Mostly just counts here, 1 or 2 card counts here and there. But knowing that information, learn your matchups, learn what your opponent's outs are, and if you're playing something you're comfortable with, then you know exactly how your deck runs and what to expect, and what your goal is to win the game.
Thank you. Without further ado, let's see that list. Champion.
Yep. Pretty standard. Force Sunamon. I remember early on in the format we tested out the 5th egg for the plus 1000 DP. Funnily enough, we talk about consistency, but seeing that Demi Vmon, the plus 1000 Demi Vmon, as your first egg was pretty detrimental to the matchup. Sure, you have battle protection, but 6k it's a threshold that you need to cross in this deck consistently to not have to waste your protection. And Sunamon just ensured that we were always above that 6k threshold from raising. From there, we played 4 BT5 Gabumon. This is fairly self-explanatory. This Gabumon searches all your Garuru pieces, even the Omnimon if you're trying to go for game that following turn by going over your level 6. We played 4 Gabumon X Antibody. Again, we're looking for pieces in this deck. If we don't see them in their first couple turns, it's not the end of the world. Between these two, you can effectively search, with 3 member, you can effectively search 6 cards for, a Garurumon, whether it be the Wear, the level 4 Garurumon, or even Omnimon. Now we played 3 starter deck Gabumon, plus 1000 DP. This is just another Gabumon piece. We needed to maintain efficient Digivolution with the BT5 Garurumon, and this one is the meant to also synergize with the Gabumon X Antibody, and this is arguably the best Gabumon out of all the searchers, plus 1000 DP. I did entertain playing the Draw 1 Gabu, but you generally want to build up in raising, and if I'm committing anything to the board, it's going to be to search 3 cards as opposed to just draw 1. We played 1 Madoki Betamon. This card is part of the consistency with Garurumon is how often you draw with the deck. And so this Madoki Beta at 1 was sufficient. I saw it for the most part when I needed it. Usually it didn't last more than a turn, so it just was there in my hand for the 1 turn that I needed to stop my opponent from being able to, pop a boost to turbo up a couple levels, or, even in the mirror to stop Hammer Sparks from coming to security, or my opponent playing them himself. A lot of this game is, back and forth with memory, and knowing what your opponent can do with that, the amount of memory you give them is critical to survival, basically. So the Madoki Betamon helps you I guess, but take a step back. Um, for the most part, memory is fixed for the opponent, and you know how much memory they're going to start off with. Decks like Gaiomon, which you saw this weekend playing Gravity Crush, and even Garurumon playing the Hammer Sparks, allow your opponent to extend their turns with that one extra memory, and the Madoki Betamon just stops them from being able to do that. So you know how much memory you set your opponent to, and you know that's the most they can get to. And even in Alphamon, when I played against Lychee in round 8, the Madoki Betamon prevented him from being able to use the Dex Darugumon to go back up to 3 memory, and then letting him which would have let him evolve into the Dex Doro Greymon and maintain his turn. I wouldn't play this at more than 1. We had to cut into a Gabu piece to even play it, and any more cuts would reduce the consistency with the Gabumon X antibody. That's it for the rookies. 12 rookies. Kind of greedy. I've seen some lists playing 13, some lists playing 14. Given how cheap some of the champions are, like Garurumon, you can afford to play a greedier ratio of rookies at 12. If you open this Garurumon, it's not the end of the world to just hard play it. 4 memory isn't that much in the grand scheme of things in turn 1. Speaking of Garurumon, we're playing 4 of this one. This one is the Garurumon that enables the deck to maintain most of that consistency. Besides the searchers here, draw 1 every time you're attacking, not once per turn. You swing with the Garurumon, even with the Garurumon X antibody, and you're just consistently drawing cards. Growing that hand size to enable the Gabumon to hit that 8 card threshold, and same thing with the Garurumon's inherited for plus 1,000. Sorry, not plus 1,000. Plus 1 security checks. Again, not because of its low play cost, it's not terrible to play out of hand turn 1 either. We're playing 2 BT5 Garurumon. This one fills out our regular Garurumon slots here with something that can evolve for cheap in the battle area. There's some cool interactions with this and Cool Boys where you can from 1 or 2 memory and a Hammer Spark, you can get all the way from Gabumon to Garurumon X antibody, and then still be able to go into the Wargrey in the same turn. This one really only comes in handy when you're playing against something like Gaiomon, where you want that DP threshold. A lot of times you can bait them to block, and then you just use the X antibody to evolve into, say, your Melga X, and this gives you enough DP to swing over it. You can get it with these 2, but this is also another piece that gets you there. And it being all turns, it makes it so your guy's just that little bit beefier and can't be swung over. We're playing 4 Garurumon X antibody. Protection. This is what enables the deck to be so aggressive in its security checks. This with Sunomon means you're surviving over anything, 6K. And then anything slightly larger than that, you just purge, and you just keep going in. Obviously, evolves for 0, so very effective for quick cycling. And same thing with the Gabu X. All these X antibody cards, what they enabled this format was to continuously keep drawing without committing too much memory, or any memory for that matter. We're playing 4 of the Promoware Garurumon. This is the bread and butter of the deck. A lot of the most other decks are relying on their megas. Here, our deck is relying on the ultimate. So seeing this Garurumon early is pretty critical to maintaining that aggression. You swing, you have a Garurumon, either one of these, not with the X, and with the X antibody, you just swing once, restand, swing again. You have the Wargrey X, and you can swing again. And so, it's very easy to go from 5 security to 0 security with this and the Wargrey X antibody, which we're playing at 3 of. Some lists are playing 4. It was kind of a I don't want to say like a YOLO, or what else? It was kind of how I felt that at that moment, I guess, is I decided to play the 3 and then the 1 Sagittarius mode instead of the 4X antibody. Would I change this back to 4? I probably would. We're playing 3 Cool Boy, and I'm even considering 4 Cool Boy, and just having a 4th where X allows you to abuse that Cool Boy. Free memory, free draws. Sagittarius mode was its effect to bounce 2 bodies off the board came in handy maybe one time in the whole tournament. This does help your D Brigade matchup, but it's not completely necessary. In the event that you do draw, kind of unlucky and don't see the Garurumon X antibody, this Sagittarius mode helps you gain the protection with his inherited, and secondly, over the Wargrey, it'll help you actually enable security attack +1, so you can swing once, restand, evolve here for 0, clear a couple rookies, swing again for 2 checks. And if you have the Wargrey X, you can just again go back up, and like I said, from 5 to 0 in a turn, and then you're positing lethal. Your opponent now has to respond to the body on board, and in doing so, they're not checking your security. So it lets you maintain your security at 5, which is your resource, and just build back up in the back, and then win the following turn. One of the other controversial picks in our list, we've been going back and forth on this. It's kind of a where there's a divide maybe on our team, is whether we play Metalgaruru X antibody at 3 or at 2. I know you, Jeff, are playing it at 2. I know Kyle's playing it at 2. I chose to play it at 3 simply because I had one extra space in the deck, and it was either between a 4 Spark or another, fairly large body to check insecurity. I did see insecurity more often, which helped, delete a couple bodies. But there were some times where I didn't have the X antibody option, and I just had to hard evo into this for the blocker. There's a lot of Digivolve in the format right now, with Alphamon and Gaiomon, and so oftentimes what you'll find is you swing in with your Wargarumon, and then you'll Digivolve in the back or set up, a blue memory boost or something like that, and then they'll just Digivolve this the next turn, and now you have no protection. Going up to the level 6, 1 gives you the blocker still. So you were able to be the aggressor, and now you're mitigating your opponent's aggressiveness. And then 2, even if they did Digivolve this, you still potentially have the protection from the Garurumon or the Sagittarius mode underneath. And I think at 3 you probably do better in the security control matchup. But I think going forward, I'll probably cut this back down to 2. I still have to test with it. We're playing 1 EX Metalgarurumon. This just synergizes well with the X antibody Metalgarurumon. This Digivolve for 4. This normally, for the most part, Digivolve for 2. Sometimes 1, sometimes 0, depending on how far in the game you are. And just being able to swing with this for 2 checks, with the Wargarumon. And then being able to evolve here for 1 to restand, again, maintains that aggression. That's what all this deck is all about, is stepping on the pedal and going through security as fast as possible. We're playing 1 Blitz Omni, similar to the Madoki Betamon. This is 1 card. It's a 1 of in the deck, but 1 of there's something we can search for. We've got Gabu, and then Garurumon to find those pieces. Security 14k is a nice number to hit too. It'll kill Gaiomons and Alphamons that don't have the DP thresholds higher than this. Not entirely sure what other decks actually suffer from 14k insecurity. Gaio, Wargrey, Alpha. I guess even Melga X if it has no protection. So it's not terrible in security. Obviously, as it has Blitz. So once you've gone through your checks and you're looking to finish the game, this is a nice finisher when you're already at your Mega. Move some of the stuff out of the way. From there, we're getting to the options, and this is all the Digimon here. We are playing 4 blue memory boost. This is another call I made the night before from the DC Grand Prix list that we were playing before. Again, the deck relies on seeing pieces and setting up for 1 big power turn. Seeing this as security is huge. +2 memory you didn't account for. It hugely helps. It hugely helps to extend your plays. And then you can chain several of these. If you open more than one of these turn one, it's honestly not the end of the world. You chain them, you get the pieces you need. Come out of raising with a rookie if you have one, and then you just turbo all the way up to level 5. I think going forward, I would continue playing 4 blue memory boosts actually over the 4 spark. Spark security is nice, but it can potentially be a dead card really early on in the game, especially when you're trying to maintain that 8 card number, which is the magic number for this deck to hit high numbers and maximize security checks. The blue memory boost enables you to go basically 1 for 1. So search the top 4, grab a blue card. You've lost no cards in hand effectively, and now you set yourself up for the following turn to make a big play. 1 ice wall. Every blue deck should be playing ice wall. In the mirror, similar to how it was with Gabumon, playing the ice wall is when to play the ice wall is the most critical decision point. You generally want to be the aggressor in the mirror, and then being able to play the ice wall just makes it so your opponent can't do the same thing back to you, and you just win the following turn or two. Out of security is really nice too. Gain 2 memory. There's not a lot of memory blockers in the game besides, say, Alphamon, which is playing the 4 Gazis. So hitting any of these end spark its security is pretty detrimental. There's plenty of games in the course of this tournament where they swung and it passed turn, and then I was able to go in. 3 hammer sparks. Like I said earlier, the decision point was 4 hammer sparks or 3 memory boot, or 4 hammer sparks or 4 memory boosts. I decided on the 4 boost. Again, just because it helped me maintain card count in my hand. But Hammer Spark, my opponent thinks that at 2 memory I can't do much, or at 1, and the Hammer Spark just gets me that one little bit further with the cool boys to get the memory I need to maintain aggression. We're playing 2 X antibody options. This was previously a 3 count. It has a nice security effect too, where you gain a memory. And it actually happened to me in one of my games where I hit against Lychee specifically, where I hit his X antibody at 0 and I passed turn when I wanted to evolve into level 4 the following turn. So similar to Hammer Spark and Ice Wall, we play it can potentially cross your opponent's turn because it's something they may not expect security. So with these 2 cards, we have 6 total quote memory bombs and security, or potentially. It goes to your hand too, so it gets checked, then it immediately goes to your hand, where you can use it the following turn to go into Melga X, enable its bouncing effect to be active, or the Wargrey X. This helps you. I found this most helpful actually with the Wargrey X. One with you do the. I mean, at this point, I feel like everyone knows the combo, right? You generally want to have your Wargrey wherever he's at. Swing once, restand, attach EX antibody, swing again, go into the werewolf, or not the werewolf, the Wargrey X, enable the 2 checks, restand, swing again for 2 checks, and then set up the blocker for the next turn and control their board. This was helpful in stacks that weren't where I didn't have the Wargrey and this allowed me to still use the ability to bounce the level 4. There's a couple of times where my opponent incorrectly thought they would be safe promoting the level 4, specifically in the Gaio matchups. They promote their Greymon, go into the Wargrey X, maybe not see the level 5, and then leave the level 4 up. And if they pass too much memory or already had a Gabumon up, evolve here, Gabumon, or not evolve, have Gabumon on board, evolve for 1 here, or even 2, and then attach EX antibody, and then play this. Now I have an ultimate on board, and I just bounce to level 4, and now they have to rebuild their stack up in security, or in the raising. From there, we're playing the one of Kaitis Breath. We play a lot of one ofs in this deck. Like I said earlier, you draw so much in here that a one of is actually something you see very often. I'm I think I saw Kakaitis in every hand at some point during this tournament. Um, After you've gone in on your opponent, you can use this offensively or defensively to get rid of the body on board, whether it's a threat or just to kind of seal the game. When you bounce your opponent's only body and now they're at 0 security and having to just hatch, it's basically game over. There's no coming back from that. From security, obviously it's incredibly powerful. Just being able to bounce your opponent's card. Most decks don't have bouncing protection besides Gaiomon and they need to have the Greymon X in the stack to be able to do so, or the Altarius mode. This helped me. I think it basically won me my first game in the finals against Vule, or Vuli. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. He swung with Gaiomon for 3 checks. Second check was Kakaitis, and he also played the Gravity Crush, which I didn't account for. So I knew for a fact if I hadn't hit the Kakaitis in security, I was actually going to lose that turn from 5 security. Swing in 3, swing in with the Greymon X, and then go Blitz Omni for game. This saved me that one game, and then it led me into game 2 where I saw my pieces and he didn't. We're playing a one of Davis. Memory Tamers aren't completely necessary in this build. You're playing the Blue Memory Boost and the Sparks. This is mostly there for either something that potentially can end up in security, which is something that plays out for free, and now you are guaranteed 3 memory every turn, or as a turn 1 play. Any more than 1, it just becomes a dead card in your hand in the later game, and what we don't want in the deck is dead cards that late in the game. We always want to have options. And then finally, we're playing 3 Cool Boy. This used to be a 2-1 split of Cool Boy and Analog Boy, or Analog Youth. Both of which are meant to search for pieces and then enable cheeky memory plays. Ultimately, I found the Analog Boy, although useful, turn 1 to look for a rookie or another piece that I was missing. I either found it to miss sometimes or entirely, or drop pieces in the trash that were useful for me. So what's obviously rare occurrences, but what sold me on getting rid of the Analog Boy was, one, it didn't improve my security control matchup all that much, and with all the Digivolve going on around in the format with the black decks, I never really got the opportunity to trigger the gain 1 memory and hatch the egg. And then secondly, there was one match where I ended up playing Analog Boy, and I saw 3 promo Wargrey and I obviously grabbed one. I had to trash the other 2, and then found that I wasn't able to close out the game because I didn't have that 4th one, or that I didn't have a follow-up Wargrey to build another stack after an unfortunate loss of the first stack. But that's it for the deck list. You have any questions for me, Jeff?
Yeah, I guess right off the bat, I know how important Kakaitis was to you winning that first game against Vu. What would you say were the MVPs of your deck? Cards you would never take out. Kakaitis.
It's an expensive option in hand, but at any given moment it can be kind of a get out of jail free card. It can completely swing the momentum of this game, and with memory being relatively fixed, cards like Kakaitis that can that you can like sack at security can completely flip that on its head and allow you to stay in the game when otherwise you should have lost. Other MVPs. Madoki, I wouldn't cut a Madoki at this point. Just being able to prevent my opponent from being able to go back to 3 memory with a Hammer Spark, go play their boost, or trigger their effect to gain a memory, like say with like the BT5 Gabumon, BT5 Garurumon. It's just incredibly strong, and funnily enough, it's pretty effective against our build too in the mirror, because we only play 1 memory tamer or 1 memory setter, but that's where the Cool Boys kind of come in handy. I guess from there, 3 Cool Boy or the Cool Boy I would consider as the 3rd MVP. Hitting that security, is incredibly strong. Being able to one search an X antibody without committing the memory to play it out directly, and then two, this pays off dividends in the long run. Gaining one memory every turn, drawing an extra card is incredibly strong in this deck. And these cards, when you have two of them out, you can kind of do whatever you want. You can go for promote Gabumon, go into Gabu X, evolve, go back to 3 memory, even for at 1 memory, go back to 3, draw, search, and then play the BT5 Garurumon, go to 2, play a Hammer Spark, go back to 3, and go in the Wargrey go to 0, and then just kind of going on your opponent. 3 Cool Boy, it felt like I couldn't. Once I had 3 Cool Boy on the board, it felt like I just couldn't lose. I had so much memory to work with. 3 Cool Boy and like 1 boost, and like you can kind of do whatever you want.
Any changes you plan on making? Like for sure.
I do want to test out a 4th Cool Boy. And if I do test out the 4th Cool Boy, I will cut out the Sagittarius mode in favor of the 4th Wargarumon X antibody piece, just to make sure my Cool Boy is always hitting. I may potentially make another cut for the where is it at? Oh, it's in the other stack for a 3rd X antibody option. We were playing this at 3 previously. There was times where I would open up a hand with 2 of these and like 1 or 2 Hammer Sparks, and it was effectively dead. That's what made me want to switch off from 3 to 2, because I was already playing 3 Cool Boys, and with the Gabu X's, I just had a ton of search to see these. But if I play 4 of these, I would consider going back up to 3 of these just to make sure I'm always hitting them. And then I did consider messing around with the Garuru ratios. This Garurumon and the Promo Garurumon, maybe a 3-3 split. There were, in some of the grindier matchups, I found that this became detrimental, where it caused me to deck out too early. And this helped me dodge more, helped me survive longer in security against cards like Flame Hell Scythe, for example. Like your Garurumon is only 6k. This helps you hit that 7k threshold, so the Hell Scythe doesn't actually kill it. What else? I may consider playing EX Gabus, but I'm honestly pretty satisfied with the rookie lineup with the 11 Gabus and the 1 Madoki.
Now that you have your 2nd regional win, you won Cardfist, Arlington. What is next on the chopping block? What do you want? What do you want to take home next?
Honestly, anything that comes my way. I mean, I'm gonna be playing in the Grand Prix coming up. I'll keep signing up for regionals, and just trying to win them all. Obviously, a factor in this tournament, there's always that component of luck, which I don't discount. I mean, we see from my rounds that I didn't hit my worst matchup, Psycon. So sometimes you just get lucky in that fashion, or security. And then obviously nationals coming up in our in our own backyard next year. That's something I'm looking forward to take, if not be in the top 8.
Any Digimon players out there you want to play in specific?
I don't have any particular people I want to play against in specific. I actually really enjoy playing the game. I don't mind. I don't really have any people I dislike playing against. You ultimately have to play against everything and learn how to play against everything. Whether you dislike the matchup or not, you kind of have to try and see how you can break it. Otherwise, you won't actually find success in this game unless you get lucky and hit your best matchup every round. I guess one notable player, now that I've played Lychee, right, I want to play Chungman. I still haven't played him in any official tournament setting. And then I have played against Dan before, but I think the last time I played him, I actually lost to him back in... I think I'm also playing Grand Koagamon. Maybe sometime later after that. But definitely looking forward to playing against him. I don't know if there's any other notable players off the top of my head. I've already played against Ying. I've already played. Actually, I don't think I've played Max, but I mean, like I said, I don't. I'm fine with playing anyone. I enjoy playing the game, and I don't mind playing newer players either. I don't mind talking to them, teaching them what I know, or at least giving them my own personal experiences and my own tips.
If anyone wants to reach out to you, what's the best way they can, send you a message?
Probably through you, since you're always online. You have a pretty big online presence. I mean, I'm on Twitter. I lurk on Twitter, not creep. I lurk on Instagram. Even on Discord. If you're most people that I play against and are interested in learning more about the game, I invite them to our Discord channel, Absolute Zero. We have a ton of people there now. It's constantly growing. Some of the best players in the game are in there. Occasionally, Theorycraft, shoot the shit, play games together. So that's one way to reach me. Instagram, Twitter, even Facebook. I mean, I'm on most of the major social media platforms. Either under Jose Salas or Picante Jose, which is my Digimon username too.
Great. Thank you, Ozzy. Is there anything else you want to say before we let you
go? Not necessarily. I mean, I think Melga is the best deck in the format. There were some people that kind of discounted it at first. I'm not entirely sure why. I think we've proven, between our performances, Jeff, that this is, kind of undeniably the best deck in the format, and I think it will be going forward into BT10 too. So I'm gonna keep refining this list, working with you and the rest of the team to prepare for BT10, and then see what other tournaments we can take.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jose. I appreciate it. Great interview.
Thank you for taking the time out of your day, Jeff.